Hello, creative people, ladies, gentlemen, superheroes, supervillains. This is Meena Shamaly from filmandgamecomposers.com. Um, Coming back with another review, this time of Dream Audio Tool's newest offering, Indie Fingers Volume 3, Rhythmic Mayhem. Uh, some of you may recall I did a video on Indie Fingers Volume 1 and 2, this is sort of a continuation in that kind of direction. Um, let's just dive straight into it. I've written a track to kind of demonstrate how this library works in the context of what I did. I prefer to show things that way because, I may well just play the patches for you so you can hear what they are, but I personally like to see how they work in the context of a composition. A real life thing that you can do. So yeah, let's get started. I'll click around and then we'll talk about the library. So there you have it. That is a track I wrote primarily with this library, with Indie Fingers Volume 3. It's called Wasteland Rescue. I don't know, it had a kind of as I was working, it had kind of a Borderlands vibe, or, a little bit of Max Payne 3, a little bit of Assassin's Creed 2 as well, if you've listened to the combat music um, in Assassin's Creed 2, it's kind of like that. I just did a thesis on the music of Assassin's Creed 2, so I pretty much spent all year listening to it. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, that is the library, which to me sounds pretty damn cool. Um, and Sort of a different approach, yet a similar approach. A different yet similar kind of thing to volumes 1 and 2. And I'll demonstrate how. First things first, Indie Fingers Volume 3 is a Kontakt library. Needs at least Kontakt 4.2.3 and has to be the full version. So I can't play it on the Kontakt player. So you got to access it from your file browser, or if you got quick load as well, right here, which I put in here so I can work with. Yeah, what it is basically rhythmic guitar, pre-played, pre-recorded rhythmic guitar patterns. And the cool thing is, I always find that people always have these arguments about whether loops are kind of, reducing creativity or increasing creativity. I don't like to get into those debates because I think it's a tool at the end of the day, and if you can do something cool with it, it's pretty all right. But the thing is, Indie Fingers specifically is tailored to be a lot more playable. It doesn't have any kind of interval jumps like a lot of volume one, for example, had a lot of kind of fifths, so like da 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 da, something like that, or a lot of octave. This has like one octave jump kind of thing, da 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 da. But yeah, most of this is playable straight off the keyboard. The only thing you're not really controlling is the rhythm that is already pre-recorded. But you can always mix and match and do a whole bunch of things. But so let's just dive straight into it. And like for me, I didn't feel that this library kind of diminished my creativity in any sense. In fact, this whole track, I did 80% of it in 20% of the time, which is the Indie Fingers part, and then everything else was just me kind of tinkering around and adding percussion and adding little bits and pieces around. But yeah, let's have a look. First things first, let's just have a listen to that first pattern, for example, right here, which is, we'll solo it out. So I'll play the patch for you right there. So it's got that bit of a rhythm, and you can just play around with it. So you just lay it down. Da, 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 da. You can get that kind of thing, which is like of course, you got to hit them kind of in time because it's not kind of programmed. It's just like it's not programmed to be to kind of all play together, because it's not an arpeggiator. It's actually rhythms for each sample, and it's tempo synced, so it locks into your host tempo. So here I've got tempo 134 in the actual project, and as it says in Kontakt, it locks in. So and you can do all kinds of things. So you can do you can have the rhythm running underneath, and then just kind of run some melodic things over the top. Or something like that, something that's a lot less sloppy. But you can just kind of take advantage of that kind of thing. And you notice here I'm actually using a couple of instances together. These are actually multis, the multis that the Indie Fingers Volume 3 comes with, which to me have been a bit of a highlight. They're really enjoyable. I think now Indie Fingers Volume 1 and 2, they did not have any multis as far as I can tell. So this is Volume 1. And then Volume 2. Yeah, there weren't... Oh, there were some multis in Volume 2. But specifically, Volume 3 came with even more multis. So it had layer multis and layer multis add-ons. Yeah, so they weren't necessarily more. They were just more, I don't know, I think well done. Well, to be honest, I didn't really explore the ones in Volume 2. But I just loaded up multi and went, The other thing, which is the chugging right underneath, you'll hear this. Which is another multi. Now, if you separate it out, so one of these things is doing this. And the other bit is more chugging along 16s. Sorry, 8s. And they play together really well, which is like the other thing that is so well done about these multis, is that they do play together really well in terms of the patches themselves and with other patches and multis. So this thing kind of runs through underneath the whole track, and you'll hear a melody in there that I used another multi for, which sounds kind of like this when we solo it. And not that this is it doesn't actually have any true legato per se, because it wasn't really meant to be melodic, I suppose. But because much of the accent is at the top of the note, the top of the, like everything else is kind of a lot more subtle. So you can kind of treat these kind of repetitions as something a little more delay based or rhythmic or that kind of thing. But it seems to play really well with like. Now, of course, it's a very keyboard way to play a guitar, and I play guitar, so I know like it's supposed to be a hammer on and pull off and that kind of thing. But it kind of, if you get the velocities right on your you're faking hammer offs. And you can of course edit that afterwards. So I'm just adjusting the mic here. Yeah, and it seems to play really well, right? And so you can sort of do these kind of more lingering melodies. And, you know, it sounds kind of okay. Not kind of okay, it sounds pretty cool. Of course, you'll hear towards the second half, I doubled that with a voice, with a soprano voice kind of thing, which is the beautiful Sound Iron Voice of Rapture library, which is just beautiful. So you had that's what you hear there. A lot of reverb. Which I actually doubled with the Requiem legato from ADO, right here, as you can see, just to add a bit of thickness. That was just a stylistic choice, a compositional choice, whatever kind of choice you want to call it. And yeah, so that's the key. You're doing some melodies, doing some rhythms, and it's a pretty versatile library. Now, the cool thing about it is it's very editable right off the bat, right off the interface right here. So you can add a bit of screamer. So if like, so I'll edit that while we play. And you can turn off the delays as well if you want. Turn off the reverbs, and these are the source sounds, and as you can hear, they're pretty well recorded. Now they have a degrader. Now, I'm personally not a big fan of the degrader because I don't think it works on these patches, but or it does, but it depends on what you want to do. They just didn't work for anything I wanted to do. But some people do get some great results with these degraders, with like lo-fi kind of thing. Which I suppose kind of helps simulate the old feel of some old video games, like with all the 8-bits kind of stuff. Or like the old kind of FM synthesizers that they used to FM synthesis. Yeah, FM synthesis kind of channels that they used to use in the more advanced machines at the time. But yeah, it's not really my cup of tea. But for this track, that's what I'm talking about. But this is straight off the bat. This is how the patch came, and you can of course get. So with a few, knob twists and buttons straight off the interface, you can do a lot. And of course, you can always go behind the scenes, so just hit the wrench on any patch, and you can always access these more elaborate versions of the effects. So here you've got your screamer, your lo-fi, your cabinet, which I'm not sure what it's meant to be on the front panel, but maybe I think it's just something you can do off the back end. And this is why you need not just because the full Kontakt, not just because you can't load it from a libraries tab, but more that you can also do these behind the scenes kind of thing, which I don't think you can do in the free player, but I've never had the free player, so I wouldn't know. So that's pretty cool, and this is a standard across all the patches. Little bit here, we've got some mutes, which I applied in the last kind of chorus, the last climactic thing, which sound kind of like that, just on their own. Which I used to just kind of reinforce the. If you heard that. So you can hear the first riff is off to one side, and then I've got the mutes on the other to kind of balance it out and kind of support the whole rhythmic section. This is my rhythm section basically, right? Yeah. One more time, just adjusting the microphone because my stand refuses to cooperate. That's fine. Now, where were we? So mutes, we've got some little high distortion that I've put on here. Now these are all running through a couple of effects to kind of like with the mix, but that's fine. I'll show you the naked versions in a minute. So these are some of the more kind of individual patches. So if you can hear there. With the high. Especially with a bit of the screamer, right? So like without the screamer. It just kind of sounds like that, but the screamer has a nice drive. And a bit of the delay as well. I've exaggerated the delay on the back end. So I've hit the wrench and kind of messed around with the delay myself. Because I wanted that kind of vibe for the track to kind of support that whole thing. So if you hear hear that rhythm section with the mutes coming in, and you put this underneath to kind of fill it out, kind of enhance the atmosphere. It's the high distortion. So it's just an enhancement thing, and then you put the melody on top. So this is the kind of thing I was going for. Now, the last thing that was the indie fingers thing that I used in the track was this. Now, you will not recognize this if you have the library. This is how it sounds like in the actual track. Now, what I've done here, and this is something I've been doing a lot of recently, is just really messing around with the sounds so that like they're completely different. And what I did here was actually apply a lot of reverb on it, but to kind of simulate it, kind of being in a room, but it's like this whole 100% wet kind of thing. So I used one of the presets from Cubase's own reverence reverb and just mess around a little bit. So without the reverb, it sounds like this. Because the actual thing sounds. So that's the rhythm you're playing with. Now let's mess around with it a little bit, and it kind of sounds like that little ring from a phone, from an old phone. Because of how I've set up the reverb and the early reflections and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. So this is the other thing, is you have any kind of library with well-recorded sounds, loops or not loops or multi-sample instruments or any of that kind of thing, you mess around with them and you can get this completely individual sound that, you know, was never intended by the developer. But this is the cool thing, is you can always kind of set things the way you want them. So you can always do that kind of thing and, like, you know. And I don't know, like, the creative possibilities are actually kind of limitless. So my mic is really being being annoying today. I'm sorry. Let's try it one more time. Okay, back. So that is one more thing. So this is the kind of thing. The other thing I really admire is the fact that, you know, these things are well recorded to aid with any kind of sound design you want to do. I mean, I did this simple kind of weird reverb to it, and this is what it came out with. Now, I'll just show you quickly. I'll play the track again, but this time with only the Indie Fingers Volume 3 instruments that I used, which are, like, this is the basis of the whole track. I pretty much wrote this first and then wrote everything else around it. Which is the great thing. I was really inspired. I just sat down, like, you know, pretty much in an hour or something, I came out with this, and I was pretty happy. So have a listen to this. and so on and so forth until fades away. So as you can hear, pretty much the crux of the track was there, and everything else was decorative, if that's the right term. It's not really decorative, it's part of the composition, but this is the thing I tend to do when I compose. I tend to kind of write out the core of the track, or I try to at least, and then kind of like write everything else to help around with. Because if you've got an idea of what your track is meant to be doing, then you can kind of work towards that rather than kind of like hitting things blindly. And that's a cool thing, is like, I whip this out in, for me, what I find is a very quick time. Like, you know, if I can actually write something decent in an hour or two, I'm not as fast as some of the other guys who do this, which, you know, I'm working on it, but it's pretty cool. Like, this is pretty much, you know, whipped it out and started, and, you know, messed around with a couple of multis, and then, you know, narrowed it down to the ones I wanted. And, you know, just doing these kind of things. And it all kind of fell into place. So yes, it's pretty cool. Now, what I'll do is I'll actually demonstrate the rest of the library for you. So I'm going to load up a new instance of Kontakt, just under here. And we're just going to load up some of the patches, some of the multis, play them around, and see what they sound like. So we've got Dream Audio Tools, Indie Fingers Volume 3. So start from the top. What do we got? I tend to do this piano thing of kind of like rolling my chords, which doesn't work with this library because, or it could if that's what you were going for, but if you want them to kind of sound like, you know, one guitarist dude actually playing, it's going to sound like. So yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty kind of like, you know, running. And always you can apply reverb to it and hit the wrench and mess with that reverb as much as you want. So here's your reverb. It says send effect. Or you can add your own reverb in there as well. It's even more. Oh, wait a second. Let me try this again. It seems they're disabled for some reason, which I'm not sure why they weren't disabled before. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening there. Anyway, moving on. Oh, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm the idiot here. I'm playing the wrong track. Because Cubase has this really annoying thing where sometimes you load up a new patch and it goes to a different Kontakt patch. My bad. My bad. Ignore what I just did. Hey, that's what we're doing. So, back to Big Star. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Just gonna put this down a little bit. So this is what it sounds like. I'm sorry. My mistake. I'm so unprofessional. So yeah, pretty cool. So, and then now we can play with the reverb. See, that's a cool thing. You can just, you can do these little kind of licks on top. So all kinds of stuff can be done. Blades of Glory. So this is the only one that has the octave jump. Now you notice all of them have MW next to them in the names. In the mod wheel actually kind of applies what is it? Is it an amp envelope? Or a... I'm just looking at where it is here. It's an LFO. There we go. As you can see here. So it's a volume LFO. That's me moving the mod wheel, right? So it just kind of gives you that whole 16th feel, and this is pretty much standard across all the patches, which also makes them applicable to the multis in the same way. So yeah, even if I think put 3. So kind of the LFO covers the whole thing. So all kinds of stuff can be done. Got Dragon Heart. Now the cool thing is you always have variations. See in the files tab, those have effect variations as well as half tempo patches. So say I wanted to really slow this down. So get the half tempo, which is Dragon Heart. So this is a cool thing. You can sort of play around with where you start the other keys. So you have a rhythm going, and then you overlay it at a different time and create something interesting. If you hit it at the right time. So back to, we have Impossible Dream. Could totally, could almost, actually if I put the screamer on, could almost sing on top of that. Something like really kind of inspiring. I said we built this dream. We built it with our own hands. We built it with our own minds. Kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just being stupid. But that's a pretty cool thing. You might not even have this in your final production. You can just start, riffing with it. Say like if you pick up a guitar and start playing any old strum pattern, you just make up some chords, and then here you're on your way to a song. This is nice and like steady. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so you can even mess around with this. Again, if you hit it at the right time. Or you just program it at the right time. It's just me hitting it while I have the sustain pedal down. So that's intimidation. And these are the mutes that I was using before. So it's like... Now that kind of reverby slapback sound is actually, I think it's in the sample itself. So I tried to find whether I could mess around with it, and it was not possible. Which is cool. It's part of the character of the sound, and in the mix, if it's with a whole bunch of other things, depending on if you want it or not. I mean, it didn't affect my mix in a bad way, and like you probably wouldn't even notice it unless you actually concentrated on it. I'm not complaining about the slapback, by the way. I'm just saying if you're looking for a much drier sound, it's not this one. Any kind of things. And more mutes with the delays on. And I think the same thing, but not muted. Morning warnings. So, and the thing is, see some of that, it's like da. So it has a da. And if you don't want that specific rhythm, but you really like the start of it, you could just always re kind of click. And of course, adjust that, or in your DAW. So I could something like this. Say I wanted to program it here. Let me look. What are you doing? Not bad. Check this out. So, did the wrong thing. Okay, hit it at the wrong spot. I'm sorry, I keep messing up. But here, there we go. So you can do all kinds of things with it. So, you can take one part of rhythm and then another part of another rhythm and do all kinds of things with it. And the thing is, because these are actually played, by a real person on the guitar. So yeah, morning warnings. What else we got? Radical habits. So, all kinds of things. Now, this is, of course, the Native Instruments' own screamer amp that is present in Kontakt. So it's pretty cool. What else you got? Which Reckless Road I think I used before. Yeah, that was in the distortion thing. Put a little screamer, put a little delay, or a lot of delay, and you have that. So big difference that screamer makes. I mean, as you might expect. This is nice and constant. It's like. I think something like this would really be appropriate for dance kind of things, like. something like that, you know. Smart mouth. I don't know if that's meant to be kind of like, don't be a smart mouth. Something like that. It's nice and kind of muted and a little bit. It's like. I don't know. I saw the name kind of inspired the whole, you know, be a smart mouth thing. I don't know. Now, see, this is a nice rhythm. And the cool thing is sometimes you like the rhythm, but you don't necessarily have to use kind of what came out of the box. It's like da 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 da, and you can start building maybe a percussion rhythm around that. So it's like, so I'll just take the bass drum I had, which is from Damage, which is nice and lovely and big. It's like. Something like that, you know, you start, you know, riffing off of that. And that's the cool thing. A library like this that is rhythmically played and has some kind of idea, you know, take that and build something else, and then just something different. Maybe you don't even use the loop library that you started with. It doesn't matter. It's pretty cool. What else you got? What else you got? Ah, still Damage. There we go. That was the first mistake I made. I like these rhythms. They're fun. And you could even build a whole song based out of this, and like, you know, do whole arrangements. It's like put the I love putting the screamer on. And so you could do something like that, and then add a different kind of I'll add just one of those muted ones, kind of thing, and send them to the same channel and have a listen to it. I do a whole bunch of things with this. Uncontrollable fight. So all kinds of fun stuff. Vandalism. Now see, this is nice and fun because it kind of like spans more than one string. Dun, dun, dun. So this is the other octave jump one. I'm sorry, I lied. And see, this is the cool thing. It can just inspire a cue and start straight off. And sometimes this is just what you need. You need that chugging thing, and you don't want to kind of like plug in your guitar and play it along, and just see what you come up with. Or then you can start plugging your guitar along and, you know, overlay or, you know, substitute or do all kinds of things. And I think one more patch. So yeah, so all kinds of fun things you can do there. Now, what I'd like to do is actually just play some of the multis, because I really like the multis in Indie Fingers 3. So layered multis and then layered add-ons. So what do we got here? Now this is a thing. I personally. No, Luca from Dream Audio Tool seems to like the degrader. I don't really like the degrader because, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to use it straight off the bat, but this is what it sounds like off, you know, out of the box. Without the degrader, it sounds like this. That's interesting. Ah, the linear muted is actually tuned up. That's pretty cool. It gives it a kind of a synth overlay sound, which is really nice. What else we got here? And here maybe the degrader works for this kind of adds to the drive of this. So yeah, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of things you can do over here. Now I'm just playing it straight off the bat, just, you know, key on, key off. But you can still do any kinds of things. The empty multi, which isn't actually empty, if I recall. Yeah. Harmony happens. It does indeed. Well, if it did, you know, we'd have world peace, but it doesn't. But hey, it happens here. Again, more degrading with tuning up. That's actually, it seems to be in a lot of the multis. So it's not just about the patches anymore with these multis, it's also what you've done with these patches, right? What Luca has done with these patches. Any kind of thing, you know? Ransom. Okay. See, this one is kind of steady enough that you can do a whole bunch of things. So it's got the half tempo thing. So it's just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 2. Any kind of thing, you know? Real words. So this is more, I'm not gonna hit on the one beat. I'm gonna like kind of softly come in and then kind of really hit you on the dun da da da. So 1, 2. A lot of degrading there. So yeah, and then you have one more folder of multis, which is pretty awesome actually. I think that's where I got most of my multis from. Turn off the degrader. I think that was my original kind of multi, that chuggy kind of thing. Classic jokes. That kind of thing. Hidden look. See, this one I like. It's really driving. See, something like that, it's like a lot more kind of standard and rhythmic, and therefore you can do more with it rhythmically and, melodically. This again is like got the dun 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 dun. Great use of delay to kind of add rhythmic interest. Magic hugs. Does that feel like a magic hug to you? I don't know. It's like you go in for the hug and then it's like this really kind of swell of this happening. Maybe without the degrader it will feel more like a hug. This kind of sounds like you're being hugged by Bane. And this sounds like you're being pretty much crushed by Bane. I don't know. I'm being stupid. Because I have a lot of fun with this. I have a lot of fun with this library, and that's the cool thing. If the library isn't fun, it also won't inspire you. The Manic Spotlight. Octavian. I like this one because I've actually got a friend called Octavian. And I've always thought that was a pretty awesome name. So to actually have that immortalized in a library as well, I like it. I'll probably dedicate this multi to him. So it's pretty kind of, moving, which I like. Sorry, one last adjustment to the mic. And what do we got here? Silver Trouble. This is what I mean. You play a chord and it's beautiful. And you can always mess around with what you're getting as well. This is interesting though. It's messing around with the tuning using a step modulator. And this is the cool thing. It does like ding doo 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 ding doo doo. If you can see, this is the pattern that's happening. And this is why I like these multis, because the multis aren't just, hey, let's stack a pile of patches together. They're also like, let's do a whole bunch of interesting things to them. Slippery Motion. More degrading. I'm sorry, Luca. I really don't know. Can't always use the degrading. And see, this is the thing. You just play it off the bat. Smooth Plans. It makes you do something. Sorry, I lied before. This is the one I used for my chuggy kind of guitars. Steps Away. So this is what you hear underneath the whole track. There was Peace. So you play this kind of offbeat. Maybe just. Yeah, Time of My Dreams. This again is the other one's like. So this is the one I played. Too Many Secrets. And last but not least, Wallet of Sound. Did your grading manage to work for this one better? Can do whatever you want. That's the thing. Like, you are not locked into anything. You want it to scream a little less? Let's have a quick look at the effect variations. Okay, so there's more. I've never actually really looked in there. No, sorry. Nope, no. That's not what I want to do. I want to say reset multi. Yeah. So you have like your linear hard muted, for example, with degree. With the delay instead. With distortion. So that's straight off the bat, and that's pretty useful. Didn't bother me because I like just going in there and playing around with it. So yeah, so that's the library. If nothing else, it is really inspiring. And like, you know, I came up with this track and I was really happy, and I'm always really happy when I just come up with a new track out of nothing. Or out of something, such as the library. I'll quickly give you a look at the other things that we had. We were supported by some percussion, so we had the bass drum from Damage. So it was this one right here. We had some piano hits from Evolve. And we had some stuff from. This is all in the same thing. Sound Iron's Apocalypse Ensemble Percussion. What else do we have? Percussion wise, that might have been it. Oh yeah, I had a little thing from Daniel James Project Alpha, which is the loose tom, and these are all pre-programmed loops that kind of really fit in straight away off with the composition. And I kind of like, you know, you combine them together and they kind of act more as a hi-hat shaker kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. And what else we have? I had actually used a couple other things from Dream Audio tools in this track. So you have this is a whole bunch of things from Dream Audio tools. So we had the Dream Circle, which had, like we're doing. That's just a little bass thing underneath, and we had some cymbal hits, which aren't really cymbals. Like, I just use them like I would a cymbal, but they're just, you know, a little extra effect. Some booms. Reverse effects. Which are, I have no idea where they are. And so these are all actually all in Dark Dreams and Dream Circle from Dream Audio tools. Of course, as we showed the voice before, which we had, which is the Sound Iron thing. Which I shouldn't play together because they're kind of weird. Because I actually played them at different octaves. And yeah, just a couple of sound effects again from Alpha. And yeah, that was pretty much the whole track, and that was pretty much the library. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of a thing. Sorry, I went a little long on you guys. I tried to be as concise as possible, but I'm an idiot. That's fine. I wanted to show you as much as I could. This is Dream Audio Tools Indie Fingers Volume 3. It's still, well, hopefully by the time the video is up, it may still be an introductory price, which is €24.90, which I don't know, you can calculate what that is in dollars or Aussie dollars or pounds or whatever it is you use. And yeah, I enjoy it greatly, and I'm looking forward to reviewing more of the Dream Audio Tool stuff. So till then, stay safe, stay creative, stay heroic. Yeah, that was a stupid thing to say. I know, because I have trouble saying goodbye. So I'm going to just say it. Bye. See you in the next one.